In a glittering world of online fame, one tattooed influencer's rise to stardom hid a deadly obsession. When jealousy turned to rage, her dream life shattered in a blood-soaked betrayal that shocked Russia. What twisted end awaited her? Anastasia Grishman, born Anastasia Kamlovskaya on February 7, 1996, in St. Petersburg, Russia, faced a turbulent childhood from the start. As her parents' only child, she endured her father's alcoholism and abandonment shortly after birth, leaving her mother, Elena, to raise her alone amid financial hardship. Elena worked 2 jobs but struggled, forcing them into a tiny dorm room where Anastasia shared her mother's bed until age 12. This lack of space bred emotional isolation, deepening her sense of neglect. At 12, in 2008, Elena sent Anastasia to live with her paternal grandmother in Kolpino, a small town outside the city. Though initially strangers, they bonded quickly. For the first time, Anastasia had her own room and bed, a simple joy amid her abandonment. Elena's visits faded as she remarried and focused on her new life, sending money but little else. This emotional void fueled Anastasia's inner turmoil. She felt unwanted, channeling pain into dark drawings of shadowed figures and fractured worlds. Her grandmother nurtured this creativity, supplying art materials and offering the affection her parents withheld. By 15, Anastasia sought self-expression through body modifications. Her grandmother supported her, funding and accompanying her for tattoos and piercings. Anastasia designed her own ink, intricate patterns inspired by emotions, Korean pop culture, and anime. She became a cosplay enthusiast, attending conventions and transforming into characters from Attack on Titan or Death Note, with elaborate gothic anime outfits, dark makeup, and colorful contacts. Peers admired her boldness, but beneath it, she battled an eating disorder, becoming dangerously thin before stabilizing with her grandmother's help. Her petite frame later aided her cosplay authenticity. After high school, Anastasia studied auto mechanics at Technical College, an unconventional choice reflecting her rebellious spirit, while self-teaching programming and web design. At 16, she bought a tattoo machine, practicing on herself and friends, evolving into a skilled artist. She added piercings across her body and facial tattoos, turning herself into a living canvas of modern rebellion. Socially, Anastasia's circle included anime fans, cosplayers, and artists met at events. Romantically, her early relationships were fleeting and unstable, echoing her family chaos. By 16, she launched social media profiles, sharing art, tattoos, and stories. Her eccentric charisma drew followers, young fans related to her vulnerability and passions. On TikTok from 2019, her videos, tattoo tutorials, cosplay, life updates exploded, building a 300,000-plus following by her early 20s. At 19, she moved back to St. Petersburg, renting an apartment and working at a tattoo studio. Adopting Grishman as her stage name, she auditioned for a reality show but was rejected for being too artistic. Undeterred, she mentored artists, taught web design courses, and aimed for 1 million followers. Close to her grandmother, distant from Elena, Anastasia's friends saw her as resilient yet craving real connection. Her path crossed Dmitri Chernyshov, born February 15, 1998 in Moscow. Orphaned young by his mother's death, raised coldly by a stepmother, Dmitri grew introverted, escaping into drawing. As a teen, his online posts revealed odd fascinations, cemetery walks, pondering dead women's lives, and specific partner ideals. In a long-term relationship with high school sweetheart Margarita, he moved to St. Petersburg in 2017. They freelanced in tech and car restoration, but Dmitri entered adult content creation, involving Margarita as partner. He controlled finances, flaunting a Mercedes by 2020. With prior convictions for theft and evading military service, he couldn't leave Russia. Margarita met Anastasia at her tattoo studio, becoming friends. She recommended her for Dmitri's tattoo. Sessions sparked chemistry. They shared dysfunctional pasts, art, anime, cars, and fame ambitions. Friendship turned romantic, hidden from Margarita. They attended events together, bonding deeply. Margarita discovered the affair, confronting Dmitri with jealousy. He promised to end it, but didn't, gifting Anastasia a car, absent for Margarita. She vandalized it and threatened self-harm, but Dmitri left, moving in with Anastasia. As her manager, he boosted her content but pushed her into adult videos, promising riches. Anastasia agreed. They filmed at home or studios, shifting her from influencer to OnlyFans model. Her popularity grew, but at a cost to her well-being. In early 2022, Anastasia appeared on the Russian talk show Beyond the Line, hoping to openly discuss her life choices and career shift. Instead, the episode turned into a brutal public ambush and intervention. Producers brought her mother Elena onto the stage first. Elena broke down in tears, saying she never raised her daughter to do this kind of work and directly blamed Dmitri for dragging Anastasia into the adult industry. She begged her daughter to stop, calling it shameful and destructive. When Anastasia came out, she immediately went on the defensive. She argued passionately that participating in adult content was her own decision, a form of modern self-expression and art, and laughed off the moral lectures from the show's experts and psychologists. She refused to apologize or show regret, doubling down that it was empowering for her. The drama escalated further when Margarita, Dmitri's ex-girlfriend of several years, appeared as a guest. She spoke emotionally about how Anastasia had taken Dmitri from her after Margarita herself introduced them through a tattoo appointment. More shockingly, Margarita accused Dmitri of being emotionally and physically abusive, claiming he had a pattern of manipulating and coercing girlfriends. Margarita warned that Anastasia was in danger living with him. Elena, surprisingly, downplayed the red flags, insisting Dmitri seemed quiet, harmless, and incapable of real violence. On camera, Dmitri himself appeared awkward, stumbling over words and unable to articulate clear defenses, making many viewers question why two confident, attractive women were fighting so intensely over someone who came across as underwhelming and lost. The episode aired and went viral in certain online circles, exposing deep cracks in Anastasia and Dmitri's relationship. After the show, things deteriorated rapidly. Dmitri completely abandoned his own freelance tech and car restoration work, becoming fully financially dependent on Anastasia's growing income from OnlyFans. He began pressuring her harder to produce more frequent and explicit content, promising it would bring them both greater fame and money. Anastasia started feeling exploited and trapped. Her original artistic identity was being overtaken by the adult niche he pushed. She quietly began planning her escape, ending the toxic relationship entirely and relocating to South Korea, where she dreamed of opening her own professional tattoo studio in a city like Seoul. She researched visa requirements, tattoo licensing laws, rental costs for small commercial spaces, and even looked into Korean beauty and piercing trends to blend her style. She sold off personal items, some designer clothes, extra piercing jewelry, and unused camera equipment to quietly build up funds for the move. Around this time, she briefly started dating Kirill Kotenko, a local blogger and influencer, seeing him as a fresh, healthier connection. The breakup exploded in late July 2022. Anastasia finally told Dmitri to leave her apartment on Yuzhny Chaussee, Southern Highway. He realized he was about to lose his home, his income stream, his access to her audience, and the lifestyle he had built through her. On July 31st, Anastasia went on what would be her last happy outing, a romantic evening walk with Kirill through St. Petersburg streets. They laughed, shared dreams, took casual photos, and enjoyed the summer night. Hours later, she sent him a sudden, cold message saying it was their last meeting and she didn't want contact anymore. Kirill was stunned and kept trying to call, but she never answered again. From that point, Anastasia went almost completely offline in real life. She stopped meeting friends, ignored phone calls, and only replied to texts with short, vague messages like, "I need space," or "I'm processing things alone." She continued posting stories and photos on social media, carefully curated as usual, but refused to go live or answer DMs. Her mother, Elena, and closest friends grew increasingly worried, sensing something was deeply wrong. On August 2nd, one of her friends ran into Dmitri at a small social gathering. When asked about Anastasia, he said something chilling and cryptic, that she had asked him to help her go away, and that he had helped her. He refused to explain further, but the friend felt ice in their stomach and knew something terrible had happened. The friend waited a week, hoping Anastasia would resurface or reach out. Finally, on August 9th, she contacted the police and shared everything she knew. The next day, August 10th, investigators forced entry into Anastasia's apartment. Inside was chaos. Half-packed suitcases stood open with clothes and documents, clearly prepared for her Korea move. The bed was soaked with cleaned-up blood. A heavy, rotting smell filled the air, masked somewhat by heavy sprays of jasmine vanilla perfume Anastasia kept in the bathroom. In the bathtub lay Anastasia's decomposing body. She was 26. The medical examination revealed she had been at least 22 times, mostly in the head, neck, chest, abdomen, and defensive wounds on her hands and arms. After returning from her date with Kirill, Dmitri confronted her about the packed suitcases and learned about the new man. The argument turned explosive, fueled by jealousy, fear of abandonment, and rage over losing control. He grabbed a large kitchen knife. Anastasia tried to back away into the bedroom, pleading and raising her arms to protect herself. He lunged repeatedly, first deep to the chest that collapsed a lung and made breathing impossible. She clawed at him, leaving scratches on his arms and hands. In panic, he dragged her limp, blood-soaked body to the bathroom and placed it in the bathtub to contain the spreading mess, covering her with a sheet. He fled briefly, but returned multiple times over the following week. He taped over vents and window cracks to trap the decomposing odor inside, repeatedly sprayed her strong floral vanilla perfumes over the body and around the apartment, and, most disturbingly, logged into her phone and social media accounts. He posted stories, replied to some messages, and mimicked her casual tone to make it appear she was still alive and active online. Dmitri was arrested the day after the body was found. At first, he confessed to a rage-fueled stabbing during the argument. Later, after speaking to a lawyer, he changed his story, claiming assisted suicide, that Anastasia was severely depressed and begged him to kill her. During the police reenactment, he demonstrated the stabbing motion, but when asked what her last words were, he admitted she begged him to call an ambulance, completely contradicting the narrative. Forensic evidence destroyed his claim. Extensive defensive wounds. Side note, her documented excitement about moving to Korea, and Margarita's testimony about his history of beatings and coercion. In January 2023, Dmitri pleaded guilty, but still insisted on the assisted suicide version. On January 22, 2024, the Frunzensky District Court sentenced him to 8 years in a maximum security prison under Article 105, Part 1, murder. Many criticized the sentence as too lenient given the brutality, number of wounds, and clear motive of possessive jealousy. In a final heartbreaking twist, Elena allowed media crews to film Anastasia's funeral in exchange for payment. Anastasia's grandmother publicly condemned her own daughter for exploiting her granddaughter's death for money.